What's up, everybody? It's me. It's PLD. Welcome to another episode of PLD-1138, my weekly show on Star Wars, although that might change. This is my where I get to deep dive into my favorite franchise of all time. I talk about a little bit about news. I talk a little bit about reviewing. I talk about whatever I want to talk about. Actually, usually I also do a media walkthrough, which is where I'm going through all the old Star Wars stuff that ever was developed, starting from 1976 and moving forward. But this week I got a little cut back on time, so I'm going to cut that segment just for today. I will bring it back in the future as I develop things. But this week I had to get on and talk about that Clone Wars episode. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that soon. But let's get right back into some other news tidbits that have struck in the last week or so. The first thing I'll have to talk about is what's on the screen right there, Ming Na Wan. Ming Na Wen. You saw her in, of course, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but she's also in the Mandalorian season one. Now that was a very good episode, and a lot of people loved her character. They're kind of disappointed. Where spoiler if you haven't seen it, spoiler she does not quite make it through the episode, or so we thought. There was an interesting uh, end of sequence of the show where we saw somebody walk into the scene where we saw her body, and a lot of people have speculated that that might have been Boba Fett, or at least somebody wearing the Boba Fett armor. Given the time frame, we don't know if Boba Fett's alive or not. He was supposed to be killed in Return of the Jedi, but good bounty hunters is hard to stay. It's hard to stay dead. But so she's going to be appearing in season two. Whether that means she's alive, or whether they're going to be in some kind of flashback sequence, we don't know yet. But that's what we are in for. I'm actually excited. I like her. I like her character. I think that could add a lot of depth to the Mandalorian season two as we move forward. I'll be interested to see where this goes. But that was part of the news this week. She is back for season two. I don't know what you guys think about that. Let me know in the comments. Next, a little bit tidbit of information. Disney Gallery, Star Wars: The Mandalorian, another series coming to Disney Plus, which I'm actually very excited about. It's a basically behind-the-scenes look at The Mandalorian season one. Jon Favreau is going to give us the deep dive. We're going to talk about George Lucas's legacy. We're going to talk about all the behind the scenes with some of the cast, some of the producers, some of the crew. Talk about how they made this series, which too has become such a big hit in the Star Wars galaxy. At a time when Star Wars is divisive at times, with The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, obviously. This Mandalorian has been pretty much a bright light in terms of everybody seems to enjoy it. It seems to be like, this is what Star Wars is to me. So it's good to get a little bit behind the scenes. I think it's great to start on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. While we're all in quarantine, give us something else to watch. But I'm very much looking forward to this. I don't know if everybody else is. Some people aren't as into the behind the scenes as I am, or at least for Star Wars and a couple other of franchises I'd like to do deep dives on. But this should be very interesting to see. Hopefully, they'll give us a little sneak peek or at least maybe not a sneak peek, but maybe insight into where they're going into season two and beyond. But that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. Next up, those two people, Stellan Skarsgård and Kyle Soller, both have phenomenal works of body behind them. They have been cast in the Cassian Andor series. That has been kind of had some touch and go moments. I know there was some times where it was written and it was rewritten, and it was brought back to scratch. They've been going on and off about this. I'm not certain how this is all going to eventually go down, but this is a step forward because both these actors are very well respected. They do good jobs in their scenes, so hopefully they will be. I'm hoping they're going to be uh, bigger parts of the story. Maybe Stellan Skarsgård in particular could be a casting and or mentor possibly. I don't know. I have any idea what the characters are at this point, but as always I said, you put talented people in their roles, you usually has half the battle right there. So this is good news for the Cassian Andor series. I'm looking forward to it. Some people have described they aren't looking forward to it. They weren't a big fan of Rogue One. They don't know why this character is getting a series. I kind of get the questioning of that, but for me, it's Star Wars. It's a good time period. I'm interested to see how that whole developed, and this definitely makes me more excited, not less excited, for that. And what else do we have in the news? That's it. We're going right into it now. Let's go right into the Clone Wars. This is what I've been waiting for the whole time. Let's be honest. I did make mention of the news bits we were doing. I mentioned the media walkthrough, but this whole episode is really about Clone Wars. Now, this is something I want to say from the get go. I've seen a lot of reactions to this saying, "Oh, Star Wars is back. Oh, Clone Wars is back. Finally, after the first 8 episodes, this is the beat." I said a long time ago. I don't know. I said it on video anywhere. I'm not sure. I wish I could find that evidence just so I know. But I definitely said it in the chats and socially that when they announced that the return of the Clone Wars was saved, they're bringing Clone Wars back for one more season. Everybody got very hyped. Everybody was like, "Oh, finally, get Clone Wars, one more season. Walt last season finally finishing it the way he wanted to," et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I was one of those fans, one of those in-depth fans, but I was more hesitant about certain things because I knew it was going to get overhyped. I knew it was going to get to the point where it couldn't possibly fulfill what everybody wanted out of the final season, especially when we got some of the details. We knew that they were going to do the Bad Batch series, which is something we had seen. The hardcore fans had seen the Bad Batch, not done, not to the finished satisfaction of Filoni and everybody else. We knew the story, and we knew the story wasn't something that was so hardcore to the lore that it needed 4 out of 12 episodes were going to be that. We knew about the walkabout story. Ahsoka's getting away from the Jedi Order. That's an arc I've heard people complain about a lot in the past couple of weeks. But either way, I knew we were going to get these. This is something that I have said before. This is not really season 7. People are calling it season 7. Yes, I know it's season 7. That's the actual determination of it. But in reality, when it comes down to it, it's really the second half of season 6. It's like a season 6 of B. When Clone Wars was canceled, they had so many episodes in the can, and they were released on Netflix as The Lost Mission, season 6. The rest of these were all planned in development for season 6, and they're now being touted as a 12-episode season 7. So if you were to enter any of the Clone Wars seasons in the middle of the season, you're going to find that there were some episodes that are not filler, because they're definitely moments that are important, but they're not the big season finales. They're not the biggest season openers. It's just the way Dave Filoni has always done it. There's meaning there, and they're in depth if you look for it. And the Ahsoka arc, which a lot of people have complained about, and I'm not one of those who is overly thrilled about the arc. I thought it was fine. It was a fine 4-episode arc. But the whole thing has come up to, we've been waiting for this arc. The Siege of Mandalore, the final 4 episodes, this is the reason why the Clone Wars is brought back. When Dave Filoni says he gets to finish the story that he wanted to tell, the way he wanted to tell it, it wasn't about this final season. It wasn't about any of these episodes except for these 4. These 4 episodes is the reason this exists. Everything else is icing on the cake, and that's how you got to look at it. It's great to have these other episodes, and I think when the season is over and we finish the Clone Wars for good, and we end the Siege of Mandalore, you can go back and watch the season and be like, okay, that was good. It's a good season overall. I get to watch all of it, and it ended on a very big high note. I think there's a lot of impatience to get to these arcs. That made the first 8 episodes suffer quite a bit. Now, I will say that the last part of the last season was a big precursor. We had to get Ahsoka. We hadn't seen Ahsoka since she left the Order in season 5. She wasn't in any of season 6 so far. This was the time we finally got to see what she was doing before the Siege of Mandalore, and it was necessary to see that. I will say, I'll argue to the point, you can't just go from walking away from the Jedi Order to all of a sudden, boom, there she is, Siege of Mandalore. She had to come back to talk to Anakin Obi-Wan. Like no time had passed. Now, I know we could have dealt with actually more of Ahsoka. We should have done a little more of Ahsoka, seeing where she was throughout. We only got the one arc, but it was enough to kind of set forward where the Jedi should be, how the Jedi should be, what's her place in the world, what's her place in the Jedi Order. And that's where we're set up, so that when she does go back into this big epic part of the saga, she has made some growth from when she walked away from the Jedi Order. So I will say, I will defend that part to death. You can talk about the sisters, you can talk about how important the story was. Is it that important? No, the story wasn't that important, but the character development was necessary. Could it have been done a different way? That's a different argument to be made, I think. But let's get into this, though. So this is what we've been waiting for, and this is exactly what we've been waiting for. And this not only lived up to the hype, it even exceeded the hype to me. This was everything I ever could have wanted in this story. We open up first of all, I love there'll be spoilers here. I'm going to say spoilers. We open up just like the cinematic masterpiece. We had the real, not a knock against Kevin Kiner, but it was kind of almost off-putting to go, holy shit, this is the Star Wars music coming forth cinematic style, part one, just like it was episode one or episode two. It felt like they're trying to make this a cinematic finale, as in these 4 episodes could have been a movie in the Star Wars title, almost like Clone War episode two to episode three. This is the movie here, even though you can get more from the whole series. This is what you need to see. It's a precursor. But I love the fact that how it opens is kind of much how the Clone Wars began. You're finally getting the final arc, how we began the first arc in the movie. Clones, the battle they're in is very reminiscent of Christophsis. Where we first met the clones, we hear the clones going on. We have Obi-Wan fighting and Anakin fighting. It's almost a losing battle. But it's a great moment. Anakin has I'd say his last Jedi moment, where it's kind of reminiscent of Luke standing in the Battle of Crate, where Anakin walks out, has no problem fighting. It showcases how powerful he's been. He's overshadowing Obi-Wan at this point in where they are as the Clone Wars, at least as far as Anakin saved the day, where Obi-Wan was kind of struggling to find where his place was in the war. But they have a great action sequence. They save the day. It's a great way to see, here we are. Here's where we stand. A lot of battles going on, but we're getting things done. But then there's the emotional moment where they bring Anakin and Obi-Wan back, and we see Ahsoka for the first time since the end of season 5. Anakin and Obi-Wan are face to face with Ahsoka, and they had some great emotional moments between them. It's a great reunion. That's all you could have wanted. They both know there's stuff going on, but there's that undercurrent of, well, what do we do here? It's almost like, I know it's almost like an ex-boyfriend girlfriend kind of thing, even though it's not the romantic angle. It's just the awkwardness there of the reuniting. They know they need to work together. They know they care about each other, but they don't want to give away too much. They want to just kind of like work on their what needs to get done as far as the mission that Ahsoka is bringing to them regarding Maul on Mandalore. And I love the fact that Anakin has talked to Rex, and this is the most touching moment in the episode for me. They have this walkthrough where Anakin and Ahsoka are walking through the battleship, and the clones are all saluting her, and Ahsoka is feeling very awkward and very uncomfortable about it. She's like, no, they can't be saluting me. I'm not a commander. I'm not a Jedi anymore. Anakin says specifically that loyalty is big to the clones. Of course, with the whole Order 66 thing that comes into play. But it is a nice nod, and it's been true the whole time that they respect Ahsoka. Ahsoka did so much to him. It's actually just as much the audience as it is the actors and the characters, rather. I remember Ahsoka, when she began in that first movie, she was god awful. Everybody hated her. But now to the point, I was one of them. I did not like her at all. I was kind of like, this is kind of annoying kitty character. But she developed over the course of the series, and here we are. She's getting to Rex is willing to. Rex, they paint the orange on. It's a crude paint job, but it gets the job done. And Rex is loyal to her. Rex calls her commander. You don't need to call me commander anymore. Sure thing, commander, because it's that sign of respect. And Ahsoka has earned that respect amongst the clones and also amongst the audience. It's a great touching moment. I'll put that off screen. I loved everything about it. Ahsoka then brings the detachment of the 501 after a little argument with Obi-Wan, because here, that's the best part. One of the best parts. I almost cut it out. We are seeing exactly where we are in the Clone Wars. Anakin and Obi-Wan get the call that Grievous has attacked Coruscant. They are unsure where the Chancellor is at this point. So at the end of this episode, Anakin and Obi-Wan cannot help Ahsoka. They cannot. They want to partially go help Ahsoka in Mandalore and finally rout Maul out, but they can't. They have to be pulled back to Coruscant to defend the Chancellor. Ahsoka brings it up, and it's unfair, but she admittedly is unfair. And she says this is why the Jedi have lost the faith of the people. If they're working for the politicians, they're not going back for the people. They're going back for Chancellor Palpatine. It's not exactly fair, because it is a battle on Coruscant, so it is a battle of the capital. I mean, definitely the most important battle of the Clone Wars at that moment. But it's a touching moment with the three, and it shows where they are. But Anakin makes the plea and gives Ahsoka, but basically gives the 501st, so that Rex and company will be with Ahsoka on Mandalore, while Anakin goes with everybody else to the capital to save the Chancellor. So that's where we're set up. It's Ahsoka, the Mandalorians with Bo-Katan, and with the 501st. Oh, one more thing I want to bring up during the meeting. I love there was this great moment where Bo-Katan challenges Obi-Wan about Satine, and it's a great. You see Anakin's like uneasiness about it, because we know his deal with love and lore and Padme, and having Obi-Wan have to confront that. And you see the differences in the character where Obi-Wan says that, of course, she means everything to him. She means everything to him, still does, but he's not going to let his emotions overcloud his judgment. It's a great touching moment and a moment of foretelling of when Anakin obviously does in the future. Not too long in the future at this point. But anyway, we go to Mandalore. Ahsoka leads the Five-Overs and the Mandalorians against Almec and Maul. And it's a great battle sequence, one of the best Clone Wars has ever had. Ahsoka's jumping around. A lot of great action moments, a lot of great fist pump moments. You're like, yes, this is awesome. This is great. Everything you want out of the Clone Wars. And it ends with Maul having led Ahsoka into a trap. It was a trap meant for Obi-Wan. He wanted to bring Obi-Wan in, but of course the Grievous and the Palpatine had something else to say. So at the end, we're stuck. We're left with Ahsoka is about to face off against Maul on a battle for the ages, and that's where we end. So it's really enticing. We have 3 more episodes left of the Clone Wars now at this point. 3 more episodes where we can see how the final is going to end, where Order 66 is going to come into play. What's the fate of Maul? We kind of know similar about the fate of Maul. We kind of know somewhat about the fate of Ahsoka, but it's undetermined enough that I really, really want to see it happen. And this is everything that we could have wanted from the Clone Wars. I'm so psyched about this episode. I'm so stoked about this episode. It was really something special. It was really something special. And it's everything. If nothing else was made, if Dave Filoni had gone on to announce that they were going to do the Siege of Mandalore as a standalone movie or as a standalone 4-episode arc, that would have been fine. And now we've gotten everything, just as excited for everything else. So it makes everything worth it. I can't wait till these are done to binge watch all 4 of them again. I kind of hope we can get this somewhat released later on as just a full movie instead of having it broken up into 4. Just put it all together in one movie released as a Blu-ray. I'm on board. I love it. That's only after 1 episode. So that tells you how vehemently excited I am. This is definitely a 5 out of 5. One of the best episodes in Clone Wars history. It's a summing up of everything we've been building towards. Did not disappoint. Hopefully the rest of the series and the rest of the arc will be similar. I have no doubts it will be, to be honest with you. I have all trust in Filoni, especially with Ahsoka, especially with this with Maul and this ending here. I'm hoping we haven't seen the last of Anakin Obi-Wan. I kind of almost would love to get part of episode 3 in the cartoon format as we go on. But we'll have to see how it goes. I'm excited. I hope you are too. And that's it for this week. That's it. Like I said, I'm not doing media walkthrough this week. But I do have an announcement to make. I do know my Star Wars show, 1138, has not gotten great reviews. I got a great audience so far. It hasn't found quite its niche. And I realized part of that is because there's a lot of Star Wars shows out there. That's fine. I find that I want to do this more when shows are on. So I'm going to definitely be doing the last 3 episodes of Clone Wars. I'll be here weekly. I might decide to do it on more of a monthly basis after that. Maybe slow it up a little bit and maybe concentrate more on the media walkthrough, since that seems to be my niche. I can do more episodes with news and the media walkthrough without the reviews in the middle. And then when we get back to something like a Mandalorian season 2 or a Cass and the Andor season 1, I might go back into a weekly format again for that. So I can give you reviews as they pop up. But otherwise, we'll go into more of more of a monthly show where I can go deep dive into the media walkthrough as I go through. That gives me time to read some more and get more out of it instead of doing one comic at a time. I'll probably just do more. I'll do a longer base form for that show as I do it. But for now, you still have me for the next 3 weeks doing PLD-1138. And then after that is done, when I move to a monthly format, I will be replacing the weekly show, probably with, I'll go into the Harrisons. If you know me, I do the Ed Harris movies. I'm kind of famous for that now, almost infamous to this point, where I'll be going through the entire filmography of Ed Harris's career, going through just talking base. I'm not sure exactly the format yet, how I'm going to do it, to be able to review of the show, review Ed's role in it, and go from there. It'll be another short form show like this, like 15, 20 minutes, half hour at most. But I have other stuff I want to do as well. I'm going to do Ed Harris. I'm going to do Steven Spielberg. I'm going to do Christopher Nolan, go through all those oeuvres as I do them. We'll start with the Harrisons, and we shall go from there. I also am developing another show, hopefully going to be maybe a monthly, maybe bi-weekly live stream show with guests. I'll get to that. It's going to be called, I'll tease it. I'm going to be calling it Not That Bad. I'll let that simmer in, and hopefully I'll get to announce more about that as I develop it. We'll be talking with some guests, live streaming, comments, things like that, and we'll go from there. But it's great to be here. I love you guys a lot. Thank you for sticking it out. If you like it, hit subscribe, and let me know what you want to see on this channel. Trying to develop some more shows in this weird time. My limited amount of time. So you also find me on Class Action on the Action Industries channel, and also on Call to Action on the Call to Action channel, where I discuss the movie Trivia Schmodown. You should take a look at that. But that's what I said. That's what I'm going for, and I will see you next time. Definitely, the next show you'll see here will be a show. It will be my PLD Views, my show on V. That'll probably be Wednesday morning. So until then, may the force be with you always.